Well, how do we get here? Yeah. I think it's Sicily.
I think it might be Sicily, yeah.
The reason why we're in Sicily, because we're talking to the Godfather today.
The Godfather.
Duke Long.
Duke Long.
Mr. Duke Long. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Cool, Duke, do you want to just introduce yourself quickly for the audience who might not know who you are?
Yeah, my name is Duke Long. I'm a long-time broker, owner, developer here in the United States. I have been kind of investing and been around the tech in the commercial real estate and real estate tech for probably the last 10 or 15 years. I'm now the EIR for Second Century Ventures and the REIT program. We have over 200 plus companies in our portfolio globally. I focus mostly on the commercial real estate related stuff. So the EIR, I don't know what they call that. EIR is the old guy that's supposed to know a lot of stuff. So maybe that's kind of where I fall.
You still got your head.
For writing a lot of stuff about commercial real estate and tech in my own special way. So
there we go. Duke didn't mention that he is the godfather of social media and commercial real estate. So big reason why we've got him on today. Very interesting guest, very interesting guy. You talk a lot of tech stuff when you're doing your talks and your presentations, and people get you to come up and get you to talk about tech a lot. We aren't going to necessarily go there today. I think I don't want to make you regurgitate all that stuff over and over again. We can go there if you want, but you know, we've been working with you for the last 10 years, you know, our CEO Mark, and you know, you guys know each other nicely, and it's kind of been this mutual attraction to kind of non-conformity in the commercial real estate space, and kind of doing things that scare us and taking risks with always this goal of kind of moving the industry forward and getting people out of their comfort zones a little bit. And, you know, that's what we see you're doing so much of in the tech space now as well. And I think that's a really great, you know, place for us to be at, and why I think we've had this sort of relationship, you know, Atypical and Mark and you. And the first time I met you was 2022 in New Orleans and Nolans. I need to say it correctly.
Coming into New Orleans.
So we don't know how we say it in South Africa. But, you know, you recommended that I should eat the gator nachos. And that's not typically something I would order from a restaurant, like the gator nachos. But I think that kind of summed you up for me, you know, after we had that lunch together. And that's, I think, the type of person you are. And, you know, you like to order the different things off the menu and push the boundaries and try new things, and, you know, screw it if someone kind of gets offended by anything. So that's, you know, that for us is why, you know, we like working with you. And I think just to kick things off, I wanted to ask you if you could just tell us, you know, from a social media point of view, you've been on Twitter since 2017, you've been there 16 years. And a little while ago, you kind of switched everything off. Why did you decide to come back after that break?
Well, and to reference, first of all, I would never eat the gator nachos. That doesn't mean, you know, I wouldn't let you eat them. I'm not going to eat them. But back when this stuff started, you know, there was nobody doing anything. And I didn't want to either. I'm too busy trying to do deals and make some things happen. And then somewhat of a recession happened, so I had a little more time on my hands. And I just was winging it. And at that time, every possible mistake you could make on social media, I made it. Trust me. Everything you could screw up, I screwed it up. So I kind of learned over a period of time. And at that time, my thought was to build the tribe, right? I always said build the tribe because there was nobody around. One of the first lists I ever wrote was the top 37 people to find on Twitter, right? For commercial real estate. Well, there's two reasons for that. First of all, there was barely anybody on Twitter at the time. And at that time I was drinking and I just fell asleep, and I stopped at 37, right? And that's a fact. So over a period of time, I built it up and it started getting bigger and bigger, and LinkedIn was nothing. And then it became something, and then Twitter, and then video. Don't get me started on video. So, you know, the tribe somewhat got built over that period of time. Also, I was writing, what you want to call them, articles. I don't know what you would call them, whatever. And I was doing that 2 times a week. So I was doing that for almost a decade, right? So that's over 1,000 articles. So to your point, I just kind of got to, like, I'm saying the same stuff, the same things going on. Nothing was fresh. The tribe had kind of got built. And I just burned out. You know, I just burned out. So it was never about, okay, how much influence can I have? How big can I get? I mean, that kind of happened on its own because of just the groundswell of. And also, I think the writing itself separated me in the sense that if I work at CBRE or Jones or somewhere, and I'm in corporate services, there's things that I just shouldn't do. And I'm totally fine with that, right? Someone told me one time, like, if you're the CEO of CBRE, there's stuff that you just can't say. And I understand that. I don't want my CEO saying anything. At that time, though, I still had my own independent company. I could say whatever I wanted, and nothing was ever going to happen. So I had a little leeway there, right? I wasn't worried about somebody calling my boss, because I am the boss, right? And it's like, what are you going to do? Take my buildings away from me because you don't like my attitude or my opinion? To your point, though, I have always thought this 100%. And if I failed, then that's someone's opinion. I've always tried to build the business up. I've always asked us to try to question things to make things better, because that's kind of how I started. I'm like, why are we still using spreadsheets? Why are we still using CRM? Why aren't we doing this? What about this? What about that? And then once the tribe kind of got built, and there was a collective part of, let's look at this. Maybe we can influence that. That's probably why I got a little more into the tech stuff. But the social media stuff, and again, working with you guys way back, I had my daughter walking around Central Park taking pictures of this little figurine thing you guys sent me. I'm like, what in the hell are we doing with this? But, there's things that had never been done or never even tried. So to that point, I was always open-minded to that, because there was, again, when I say no consequences, there's always consequences, but there was no reason to hold back anything.
Why did you decide to come back?
Because I have an ego the size of the moon. That's why. I mean, come
on.
on.
The answer I was expecting.
Validation. I mean, I can't be on Instagram taking up pictures of my hot self because I'm not hot. No, but, there were people that were saying, look, we love the way you do. We love what you're doing. I'm like, well, that's very nice. I kind of had to try to make it fresh, and it's harder to make it fresh. And also, I'm like, wait a minute. Are we still doing this? I wrote something, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 years ago. And I literally posted up something I wrote 5 years before that. And I didn't change a word, not a word. And at the bottom, I said, I wrote this 5 years ago and you still think it's relevant, right? So what's fresh? What's new? Who's out there saying this kind of stuff? And I'm not banging on what I would consider somewhat traditional media. I understand what they have to put out there, and I read it. When I say that, The Real Deal, Globe Street, Business Now, some of the others, I read that stuff. I'm interested in it. But nobody's out there saying the kind of stuff that I'm saying, especially the way that I'm saying it, only because some of the stuff that I'm writing, and I think this resonates, is from the inside, so to speak. I understand what it means to walk through a building in the dark when it's 4 below, or the tech stuff. I see so much crap. I hear so much BS. So I just put it out there. You're not going to get that in some of the other traditional media. And in fairness, WeWork, I could go on for days about that. I started writing about that. I said, when a guy goes to the board and says, I want to buy a wave company, that's him saying, I want to get fired, right? And I wrote that like 2 years before all that shit happened. So, who else is out there shaking it up like that? I don't see anybody else even trying. So again, there's a space there. There's something available. And to quote myself, in the third person, I have the ego the size of the moon. Well, that's why I came back.
I also think one of the biggest things with you specifically is that, like, you've been a broker, you are a tried and true to all these things. Like, people talk about CRE tech, like the best thing to use, and all sorts of things across commercial real estate, where you've been on the ground and dealt with these things, and you have like an honest opinion that you are not afraid to share. I think like you see so many pieces of marketing where people are saying this is the best thing for you, and like brokers need this. But do brokers really need it? Like, is this something that...
Well, most of those opinions are coming from the companies themselves. Exactly. So there's not a lot of trusted word out there. And I think that kind of goes into one of our points that I wanted to talk about today, was when we talk about the influencer landscape, commercial real estate is so far behind what the rest of the world is doing from an influencer point of view, and actually monetizing all of that. And you're kind of, I would say the closest we've seen in commercial real estate to an actual influencer that's influencing the way people think about different products and tech specifically. Do you think there is a space for that type of influence in commercial real estate?
Is there space for it? Probably. I never tried to fit that space. I didn't want to. I wanted to monetize it in other ways. You know, I wanted to monetize it from the inside, so to speak. I wanted to personally invest in companies, get other companies to invest in some of these companies that I thought were changing. As far as someone saying, how do I want to put this? You know, hey, buy this product because I think it's awesome. That, I mean, that goes on no matter what, right? That could have more influence of somebody who runs a brokerage with 300 people than me. Although I think there's a perception that if I endorse it, then it's going to be much, much bigger. I have a little issue with that. I'm not sure that's always completely true, especially in commercial real estate. I mean, we're selling boring back-end brokerage management software, and that is really boring, right? But you know what? You need it, though. You really do need it.
Yeah.
So for me, is someone going to go out on TikTok, someone going to go out on Instagram and do that? So they can, but I don't. What are you trying to influence is my point. Are you trying to sell a building more? And I'll bring this up, and I'm going to try as much respect as I possibly can. There's somebody out in Arizona or somewhere, and they're doing TikToks in a bathtub, and that's creative and that's interesting, and I'm totally fine with it. That's cool as hell if that's what you want to do. But there's also people out there selling $250 million buildings that'll never get near TikTok in a million years in commercial real estate. So that's a little bit different there. We're not trying to sell a flip house or whatever. I realize there's a whole other avenue there. So I've always thought I would try to monetize it in another way. I don't care if you've got 2 million followers on Instagram. How many buildings did you sell this year? And is it because of that? So maybe I'm a little bit older and a little bit more biased in that way. So I just never try to push it in that sense. Having said that, if anybody wants to pay me $100,000 to go out and take a picture in front of a building, I'm down. I'm down for it. No problem. Buy this building. They gave me $100,000. Come on. So I got both sides of it a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's something that we also experienced as a marketing agency. Like you can't now go and approach a client and say, we're going to do absolutely everything and like boost your business by marketing absolutely every aspect. Like you got to be specific with certain things that need that marketing effort. So there are times where people that are selling buildings are using marketing in an effective way, and there's also times where people may be wasting budgets on marketing where they don't necessarily need it because they can already sell, because it is a building that someone wants to spend $250 million on. So it does go hand in hand. I think there's a right and a wrong time to use marketing.
Yeah, and I guess these guys, these guys are kind of using it as an addition to what they're already doing as a way to sort of tap into a media element that maybe not a lot of people are tapping into. And there's many ways to skin a cat, I think, as well. And there are opportunities, I think, from a media, and not just TikTok and Instagram, but just using the likes of Google search ads and things like that to actually push properties and those types of things that I think a lot of the CRE industry from a broker point of view is maybe not doing all that much.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I hate when I say this, but I just wrote something about this where there are some people, and even on the tech side, that are really, really good at it. Okay. And I know you guys are good at it because you're helping some companies that I know of, right? And there needs to be a plan. There needs to be quality. There needs to be consistency. There needs to be all those things. And when you're not doing it, it doesn't work, right? And yes, you have to spend money to do X. And to your point, the SEO stuff. Every tech company I look them up, you'd be amazed how horrendous that it is. On the broker 100%. Side, I think a little bit of it's generational, in the sense that you have some of these people who own and run these brokers are highly productive or of a certain generation. I could say that because I might be around that generation. So that doesn't mean that their juniors should all be on TikTok 24 hours a day, not by any stretch of imagination. So as from your point, the effective stuff, the quality stuff, the SEO, those things, absolutely. And I think it's very underrated. And the stuff that I've seen done well works every time.
Yeah, it's less like front facing, but it's actually doing like the hard yards.
So effective. It's so effective. It's crazy. I mean, I want to kind of circle back to the social media a little bit. For you, what has kind of changed? What has changed from then to now, and what really excites you about the world of social that we live in? I mean, there's a lot going on. It's very different to when you started, 16 years ago on Twitter, to where we are now. And I know, the video thing, I'm going to bring it up because I want to kind of get your opinion on the video thing. And I'd love to see you on video. I'd love to hear you, voicing these opinions. And I know you don't want to do it, but I kind of want to just.
There's two sides to it, right? I understand that it can be effective. I think it is changing. 5, 10, 15 years ago, it was not effective. I had a YouTube channel. I was doing some stuff. And I swear to God, I wrote this like only me and my mom were looking at this stuff, right? So, but the other thing is how interesting is commercial real estate? It's boring as hell. I mean, it really is. It's like how many influencers are there in the insurance space? How interesting is insurance? Not at all. So it's hard to have content that's relevant and interesting and exciting. So for me with video, other than showing a really beautiful building and kind of what's going on, that's interesting visually, right? Or some three-dimensional things. But somebody's just sitting there. I just, I did podcasts for a while and I tried to do that in a way. So I understand that video very much is coming along. What I would love to have is a deep fake of me doing video. That would be better. Yeah. That way I don't have to do it, right? Make myself a little sexier, a little skinnier, and just deep fake it. Yeah. That would be better, right?
I think that's coming.
I said this to Mark about 2 months ago after we started talking ChatGPT, and I was like, Mark, the next thing is basically like we're gonna have deep fakes of our clients, and we're gonna write them scripts, and we're gonna have their voices recorded, and it's gonna like you literally will not have to do a single thing. AI is gonna be able to run your entire video marketing. Yeah, and so
I'll be the first one. I swear I'll be the first one.
So all you have to do is write the copy
in a script. I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, looking at all the components we already have in terms of AI, I don't think it's not far away.
It's not far away at all. It's not far away at all. The implications that it brings, let's not even go down that road at the moment. But
I think you were speaking to quite a nerve that we have at Atypical, at a marketing agency that is specifically and solely involved in commercial real estate, is the boringness, the factor of things being super boring. And that is like almost I wouldn't say our daily struggle, but it's like that's like the wall we are fighting against. And I think in terms of creativity, how do you feel about creativity in terms of the commercial real estate industry when it comes to marketing? How important is that to you?
It's horrendous. There is no creativity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if I'm the creative one in the group, that's sad, because I am not creative at all. So I understand why the creativity part of it is interesting and it makes it more resonating, but I just haven't seen it hardly at all. I mean, at all. And again, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do some outlier type things, but we're basically, again, just trying to wrap data and information around the structure. Okay, so how do you make that interesting, exciting, unless I'm, hanging off a wire off a building or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So the creativity part comes where? Because one of the companies that you're helping me with does software, and it's really boring stuff. I don't want to be creative. I want to hit them definitively, and I want it's about their back end. It's about this, and this. So that's more effective for us. We could have some really cool videos and stuff, and that's great. And I think that's important, but we still, at a core, want to go after X. So to answer it again, way, way under creative, way underrated. We need more. I'm not the person to do it. Trust me on that. But, anything you guys could bring would be fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give away a couple of little insights here, but I've just basically done 2 big audits on all of our campaigns that we ran last year for 2 of our big clients. And going into the creative, the actual, when we developed content and video and images that had a creative angle that made people think a little bit or made them laugh or did something, it wasn't just sort of text on an image saying, hey,
and this is,
hey, buy this.
This is B2B commercial real estate.
Yeah, I mean, we have to push the boundaries a little bit. We have to think a little bit outside the box, but that content brought in way more leads than us just saying, hey, this product does this, you should buy it. And I think our feeling here specifically is that commercial real estate is really in need of this creativity, and I think they don't even actually realize how much they want it, because they are resonating when we are creating this more out the box thinking.
Okay, but let me bring
because
this
the
up.
output-
Okay, so we consume so much stuff, right? And you
Yeah.
can get on YouTube now and find anything. Okay, so tell me what some of us haven't seen, right? What haven't we seen? Somebody, jumping off a cliff and flying, and you name the extreme things that we could see, right?
Yeah.
Do we need to bring that to commercial real estate? Is that really important? If I go diving out of a plane or something, you know what I mean? So what haven't we seen, and why isn't it there? Maybe we don't need it. I'm not saying we don't, but maybe we don't need it. Is that what it is? So I'm struggling a little bit to say, okay, let's get creative, but in what way? Because every other industry tries all kinds of different things, right? And this is what's been working. I don't know. That's my opinion a little bit.
I think on the spectrum of creativity, I think we need to walk before we can run in terms of commercial real estate. We can't compare to B2C, where people will jump out of a plane and have a flag that has like some sort of ad on it. I think we got to start small, and I think that's what we're beginning to do, and we're seeing the results come in. But
Yeah, I mean,
we always got to go back to like BC. We got to go before like.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to change slowly, and I mean, and we're not talking. I'm not talking about like crazy creative stunts that the world of commercial real estate is dying to see. It's just even in just the way that we're designing content and just producing pieces of creativity that people might laugh at, they might relate to, and that's starting to see really better engagement and better leads coming from it. So I think there's an appetite. I think it's going to take a while still. I don't think we're ready for any big, crazy experiential.
I'm going to stop you right there, because just yesterday I was on LinkedIn and I saw a Volvo ad.
I've learned that when you want to make a YouTube hit, you need a hook at the beginning of the film. And here it is. This is a hook from the new Volvo FMX. Made of cast iron, and it holds up to 32 tons.
I mean, that's B2B and not far off from commercial.
Yeah, no, and that was
construction.
Really creative, and that's look, I love that, but
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, there's not a lot.
It's not gonna
not a
lead.
lot of companies are going to be willing to spend their money on doing that stuff.
That's kind of the other thing. There has to be people that bring that out a little bit more. I think the creativity would be excellent and very, very much appreciated.
Right.
But also in commercial real estate, there's too many people out selling $200 million buildings who just don't care. Right? What's
Exactly.
3% of 200 mil? I'm down with that. Right? All day long.
What about the? I think it's for the guys who aren't selling the $200 million buildings. I think that's where they need to try and start competing. And I think that's probably why they're trying to use all these different tactics and social media and all these different things to try get themselves ahead. But yeah,
I think you started off, although you said you made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, I think you started off on the right foot in terms of creating your tribe, building your tribe. And we spoke to it in a previous video about nano and micro influencers and the importance of that in terms of like influencing through trust and all of those things. But I think in commercial real estate, that's quite a strong thing to do in terms of going instead of going all out and being this huge macro influencer. I think similar to what you do and what other guys should maybe take a feather out of your hat from is building that tribe at first and just working on that. And I think a lot of these guys are trying to do that on Twitter and TikTok and that, and I think they're testing the waters to see where their tribe is at maybe. But yeah, I think in terms of like social media and your influence on social media in commercial real estate, I think the tribe is a big one to start off with. So let's talk a little bit about Duke.
we were chatting with Mark earlier today when we were talking about this podcast, and we were talking about you and your controversial nature. Is that something that is because of the industry being somewhat bland that you've wanted to kind of go into this, be more controversial, to shake things up a little bit, or have you always been that way? Have you always tried to just push those boundaries?
I mean, you don't get anywhere in the world if you just kiss ass, right? So part of it was, again, that I could get away with it. Part of it is, and I tell everybody this, you can't be like all that stuff I write it online all the time. A little bit of it's an act, right? You got to understand that I am just a fat, boring Midwestern broker, okay? Out doing triple nets. But online, I can be a little bit more of the persona, and I push that persona. The controversy comes, I think, from the fact that you just tell people to go themselves, whether they like it or not. And then I had someone literally get a hold of me and said, look, You're ruining the business. You don't have standards. You don't have this and that and the other. Oh, that was heaven. Because I went right after them going, who are you? Who are your standards? And why are your standards better than mine? Who are you to tell me that they are better than? So there's a little bit of that's natural. But at the same time, again, credibility-wise, I've always thought that there should be a higher level standard, whatever that is, in commercial state, make the business better. So I'm not trying to tear it down. I'm trying to make it better. And if you disagree, fine. And I've also always said, the minute that I started putting stuff out, half are going to love you and half are going to hate you. If you can't stand up on that soapbox and take the hits, then don't take the hits. I have a friend of mine say, how do you do that? How do you have those people like email you? And I said, it's easy. I just respond, you know, and that's easy to say, but I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care. So
I love it.
A little bit of that's natural. I have to be a little more careful now that I'm part of a team and stuff. But
I mean, you've built that reputation. You've built that reputation, so people know what they're in for now. If they're getting Duke Long on a panel discussion, I know at the NAI conference last year, you know, you were speaking to Jay, and you know, they knew what they were getting themselves into, and it was awesome. You know, that's why people went to watch. So you've built that reputation, credibility now. Well,
and in fairness, and Jay at NAI is I consider him a good friend, and he said that too. You know, he's not courting controversy. He's kind of pushing those people to think a little bit. And again, very much respecting the audience. 100% they're smarter than, you know, I very much always think that. You know, I'm not talking down to anyone. If anything, I'm trying to push and elevate, in my opinion.
Last sort of serious question. We've got a couple of fun ones, but what or who kind of drives you, or who influences Duke Long?
Nobody.
Awesome.
You think I'm kidding? Nobody.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention. There's somebody doing 50 tweets and this and that and the other. You know, there's a little bit of a joke in there, but you know, I try to absorb as much as anybody else, right? I certainly try to pay attention, but there's nobody that I'm like, oh my God, I have to follow it. I'm too old now, man. You know, back in the day, maybe I paid attention to certain things. Somebody said this to me, but listen to this one. Somebody said, you're like Donald Trump, Grant Cardone, and Gary Vaynerchuk. You know what I said? Who the f is Trump? I never even heard of that guy. And I'm like, I don't even know who you're talking about. So I don't, that's people's perceptions of, right? I don't think that at all. And I don't let anybody like that influence me and that kind of thing. You should be doing 14 videos a week and you should do that. You know, I'll play golf. I got things to do. So I'm not trying to monetize that in any way. I should, I say this to my friends every day. I think I should go buy more buildings. That's what I think about. So from an influence standpoint online, again, nobody's close. Awesome. That's just me being me.
Just a quick one. Like, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk and Twitter and what he's done to the platform? And I mean, I really wanted to bring this up.
This is going to get me in trouble, so thanks for asking. If you say you love him, all of a sudden you're a right-wing maniac.
Yeah.
If you say you hate him, then all of a sudden you're a wonderful human being. There's that perception, right?
Fair enough.
It's his money. He can go do whatever the hell he wants with it.
Exactly.
I could turn it off tomorrow. Has it affected what I'm doing? I haven't seen any effect whatsoever. None whatsoever. You know, he wants me to pay $8 for a blue check mark. I've never had a blue check mark. I don't care. Right? Yeah. What's $8? So, especially to that guy, he could have solved world hunger. He bought Twitter instead. What's that tell you? Right? So, I just don't think it's really affecting me in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. If you want it to, if you look at it from that side, then it will. And God, life is too short to be worried about shit like that all day. Come on.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's our job. That's all we worry about.
Yeah. I'm at the point now where I'm convinced that Elon Musk is actually a genius, and all these things that he's doing that seem like he's making mistakes and slipping up and like destroying Twitter, all are a part of this like greater scheme to do something. And it's like, I mean, reading the news all the time, you're like, oh, he's doing this and he's doing this, and he's like creating like this sense of distrust, and like surely the share prices are dropping now. Like, I mean, he bought Twitter to begin with, and he, like, you know, SpaceX and all these things, like everything that encompasses Elon Musk, he does all these things that don't just happen unless you are somewhat like inclined to.
He knows what he's doing.
So I think there's this greater scheme that's happening, and we spoke about the Everything app, and all these things.
Well,
that are
and
in the
here's how
pipeline.
I think about it from a practical standpoint. That guy spent $44 billion. What if he pisses it away? That's anybody else doing that this week? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Literally has the world turning upside down because he tweets. I mean, it's just unreal, man. That's influence right there, buddy.
That is
Not only is
influence.
the most influential, I'll buy it. You know? So you can bitch all you want. The other thing, again, get up there, turn it off. Nobody's stopping you.
You know, Musk is going to Elon Musk. And he has a reason for everything. I think he probably would have backed out of the Twitter deal if he could have.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they were like, listen, if you back out, the lawsuit's coming. He was like, they were just like, just buy it, whatever. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. So.
Yeah.
And the other people, the people who sold Twitter, did they cash their checks? Did they cash their checks?
100%.
And then quit bitching. Then you could have said no.
Exactly.
Could have said no.
Exactly.
Nobody forced you.
Yeah.
The only difference between Elon Musk and I is about a few $1 billion. That's all I see.
Only a couple.
Just a few,
Just a couple.
Just a couple. Cool, Jake. We just got a couple of like really fun little questions just to end off. I think it's been a really, really fun interview.
Yeah.
You've been an absolute trooper. Thank you so much for being on. I thought about this. I've got my answer for this first question.
Yeah.
But who would you like to play Duke Long in a movie?
Who would I like to have in a movie? First of all, I hate Hollywood. Don't get me started. Who would I have to play me in a movie? Me.
Yeah.
Period. There is nobody
I knew
else.
that was going to be...
There is nobody else.
No other answer.
Period.
No other answer.
Maybe Martin Landau because he's the Godfather, but no, just me.
There you go.
There isn't anybody
There
in
you go.
Hollywood that I think is so awesome that, play me. No, dude, get the out. I'll play myself.
Cool. So, next one. If you were going to live on a desert island but could only take one thing with you, what would that be?
If I could take one thing on the desert island, what would that be?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. There's about 10 answers to that. The first one, making me a little old school, Sharon Stone. That's who I'd take on the desert island. I figured it out from there.
I don't think you need 9 other things.
Yeah.
Desert
that's a
island, we
good
forgot how to get off that sumbitch in about a week, I guarantee it.
Okay, cool. Then the last thing, what was the last thing that you Googled?
Dare we ask?
Believe it or not, how boring this is. I just bought a car, and that thing is like a rocket, and I had to Google how to work all the shit on my car. So that's boring as shit, but that's the last thing that I did, and probably the Premier League, just because I'm interested in that shit. But yeah, my car. I just bought a car, and I can't even figure out how to open the door. So how boring is
What is it?
What is the Godfather drive? What is it?
No, I'm not driving this. I'm an Audi A7. I don't drive any Teslas. I don't have all that shit.
Yeah.
No, I don't get into that. Anybody drives a Tesla, I try to run them off the road. You know?
Fair enough.
If you drive Teslas, I'm
EMP
sorry.
that thing, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
You're not
we don't.
saving the
Yeah,
planet.
guys.
You're killing it. But that's just me.
Duke, thanks so much for the time. Absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for spending a bit of time with us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Really
I appreciate it, guys. You guys are great. ChatGPT, deepfake, my own YouTube stuff. Well, I'm down.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Come on
Sounds
now.
good.
Then
Sounds
we could
good.
have some fun. Think about it. I could be doing stuff
We'll
I'm
get
not even
Mark on
doing
this.
and get away with it. Think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on it. All
All right, gents.
Thanks,
Duke.
See ya.
See you later.
If you made it this far, please hit subscribe and like and all those things. It really goes a long way. And thanks for watching.
We'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah. ICSC, here we come.
Yes.
Some cool coming.
Very cool stuff coming. So if you're in Vegas, if you're going to be at ICC, let us know. Hit us up in the comments. We're doing interviews. We're going to do a whole bunch of different sessions and recordings. So if you want to be on the show, let us know.
Cool.
Yeah.
See you next time.